Hey guys, it's Levi. This is my second month of Ajatt completed now. Um, there's actually a decent amount of people watching these videos unexpectedly. So I will actually start with what has been useful to me over the past month or two for all those people who I know probably don't watch the entire video.
Okay, I would like to start with talking about Anki, particularly pertaining to the stories and their placement on the card. Initially, and I know a lot of people have done this as well, I put my story on the front of the card. So I would see the keyword and the story would be directly underneath of it. I did this because initially my initial state of mind was thinking that you look at your story and you recall your kanji from that, but just from looking at Japanese text of any kind, you see that you need to be able to recall the kanji without that story. I mean, because you're not actually, at that point, when you're looking at your story, you're just looking at the list of primitives that you have within your story and constructing the kanji by placing them in the appropriate order. So I had to question myself on how well I was really remembering the kanji. So I ended up putting them on the back, my stories on the back, and I realized that I did not remember them nearly as well as I had thought. I mean, I was still okay, but I found that there was a lot that had relatively matured, and I couldn't remember them without the story exposed. So the issue that arose with having them on the back, however, was that that's the answer side, and at that point, there's no way to really tell whether that story will help you derive the kanji by itself. So I found a way to add a hidden field to the Anki cards. Um, there's a guy who wrote some script for the cards, and I will show you that later, but I will just show you how the field works first. I will click on the deck, add my card limit at 1, just so I can show you. Study now. Okay, so Monmei. Let's say I can't remember the story I had come up with for this kanji. This is the clickable field I was talking about. It says click to show story, and it highlights, and it changes the cursor, which is pretty nice. So you just click on that, and it exposes the story. It's kind of a messed up story to show, but yeah, that's how it works. It's very helpful, and then go the kanji just like that. I'll say it again so I can study it later. But yeah, that's how that works. Um, and I will show you the code that this guy wrote. I will offer, or I'll provide a link to this video as well as this pastebin link for the script itself. But this is mostly the chunk of code you're looking for. And then he has more on the styling. You can really just copy and paste this entire template. He shows you front styling and back, which correlates with front template styling and back. The only thing to note is that this guy, where it says hint here, or up here really, when he's creating this method, it says hint. Your word has to be the same as your field. So again, I'll go into here. Sure. Current deck fields. See, mine's story. So either you have to change for, like in my case, I had to change this to story, or you have to change your field name to hint. Either way, it'll work. It'd probably be easier just to change your name to hint because there's quite a lot of hints in here, but you can do what you want there. And I'll let you watch the video for any any more detail that you could possibly want, since he did write the code. Another thing I found useful was this remembering the Kanji app on the Apple Store. It's a little expensive. It's around $10, but I work about 50 hours a week, sometimes a little bit more, Monday through Friday. So on those days, I find it hard to find enough time to sit down at the computer with Anki and create your stories, write down the kanji and input the stories into Anki. So downloading this app allowed me to do some of it during the day while I'm at work. I wake up early. I've been waking up at like 4 a.m. just so I can get 3 hours of kanji in at first review and then adding new kanji before I have to go to work. But it's still not enough time, and I can't wake up earlier than that. So I downloaded this app. This is one of the best purchases of my life. It's and it doesn't really disrupt your work either. Like I can just look at, like, just using example it has here, radiance, and you can look at your elements right here, your primitives, and then you can close the app, and now you know the word, you know the primitives, and you can think of a story. And at that point, you can really let it mature throughout the hours of the day, and it's been very helpful to me. Um, so yeah, that's definitely something worth looking into.
Okay, those are most of the things that I've found helpful. Um, an additional thing I've started doing, however, is I've been using my own stories. There was for a while there for about maybe 200 kanji, 300, maybe more. I had been I've been guilty of using shared stories on Kuki Kanji, which is okay. Um, but through my experience, I found that you will not remember them as well. Um, Once I realized that, I started making all of my own, even if they weren't as good. And I thought that Kui Kanji probably had better stories since they're unique to you and they came to your mind. You will remember them better. Um, and another thing I have found is, or maybe that I've implemented, is I have stopped overemphasizing making good stories. And by that, I mean, like, I'll see the keyword and I'll look at its primitives and something will come to mind instantly. And sometimes, like, you don't think it's a good story, so you'll overthink it, and then you'll try to make this elaborate story that usually doesn't work any better than the first one. This has happened multiple times where I come across a word in my review, and the original story that I thought wasn't as good is the story that helps me remember the kanji, and then I'll click enter for the answer, and I'll see this new elaborate story I made up that I forgot I made. So um, I guess pretty much what I can take from that is that what you think of first is generally going to be the best thing for you to remember the kanji by. I've still been doing my immersion for about 18 hours a day, but I have been having trouble finding time for active immersion. I do it every day, but like I had said, I wake up at 4 and I do 3 hours of kanji, so you can't really do active listening during that time. And then I go to work, and although sometimes I can kind of try to listen actively and actually try to pay attention to what they're saying, but for the most part, I mean that's in 5 minute spurts. So mostly my active listening comes after work from about 6 o'clock in the evening to 8:30, maybe 9. But at that point, waking up at 4 in the morning, I don't get much sleep. So um, really, I have about 2.5, 3 hours for that, and that's also to take care of everything else I need to take care of. So that has been a struggle, but I'm continuing to do it. As far as consistency goes, I've been doing 30 kanji a day. I have missed 2 days this month, unfortunately, but that is just adding kanji. That's not reviewing. I've not missed a review day, which I think is the most important day to not miss. Um, yeah, I'm still not understanding a whole lot. I do I do feel like my comprehension is getting a little bit better. Like I had said in previous videos, I studied Japanese for about a year before I started Ajatt, so I had some level of vocabulary. It wasn't great, but it was existent. And I think that now I've just been listening to so much audio that I'm getting to the point where I'm hearing those words that I knew before, and maybe I'm hearing forms I haven't learned yet, but I still recognize the word. And I do feel like my comprehension's getting better. Um, it's definitely good to see progress, and I'll be looking forward to the progress I can see in the future. Again, if anyone has any suggestions for me, leave them down in the comments or any questions. Any feedback is appreciated. And thank you all for watching. I will see you next month.